Hey everyone, Josh here. In today's software tutorial, I'm going to be giving you a complete walkthrough on how to use the Monday.com project management platform. In today's video, whether you're a complete beginner to the platform or are someone who's familiar with Monday.com but just needs a little bit of a refresher, this video should give you everything you need to get started creating tasks, projects, and collaborating with your team. By the end of this video, it's my hope that you completely know how to use the Monday.com platform at the basic level and maybe even a few tips or tricks that you didn't know about before. Now, before we get started, in the description of this video, there is a link to Monday.com, and I highly recommend you go there, follow along, and sign up as we are going through this so that you effectively know how to use all the things that I'm going to be teaching you. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So on the main screen here, it says, go beyond what's possible. Well, let's see exactly if we can do just that by hitting the Get Started button. This big purple button right here. And again, there is no credit card required to actually get started on the platform at all. Let's just simply click it and get ready to go. Now we can hit continue with Google, or in my case, I'm just going to enter in my email address and hit continue. And in my case, it'll ask me for a verification. And this is typical for signing up for anything I'm sure you've seen. So in our case, I think that's good. We'll hit verify and put the email in again and hit continue. All right. Now it'll ask me when I'm creating my account to enter three things: my full name, my password, and my account name. Well, for now, this is just the start. So for this, I'll enter in my full name. I'll enter in, a really strong, really secure password. And from there, I'll keep that account name the same. This is typically the default from your email domain, but I'll just keep it like that for now. We'll hit the continue button in the bottom right-hand corner, and it'll ask, hey, what brings you here today? In my case, I'm just gonna hit personal, hit continue. It'll ask me what I'd like to manage first, and this is Monday.com's way of actually figuring out what it is that you're gonna be using their platform for. So I'll say, well, I'm gonna do it for design and creative. How about that? Hit continue. What do I wanna focus on? Well, let's say project management, and we'll hit continue again. And I'll skip this section because other. And for this, once we're on this, typically we would go to the dashboard, right? No. Well, actually, this is the point where you can actually invite collaborators to your actual Monday.com board. Platform, portfolio, project. Really, the customization here gives you tons of options on what to call it across whatever you may be actually doing, whether it is project management, task management, Salesforce management, whatever. So in my case, I don't have any team members, so I'm just gonna hit the Remind Me Later button in the bottom left-hand corner. And from here, we'll start creating our first board. It'll say, let's start working together. So I'm gonna say, well, for this board, I'm gonna call it My Awesome Project. Yes, My Awesome Project. And we'll hit continue, or next as I should say. It'll ask me what the relevant columns for my board are. Now, if you don't know what the columns are at this state because you haven't used a project management tool like this before, don't worry, I'll explain what they mean later. But right now, I'm just gonna simply hit these as the default: owner, status, and due date. I'll hit next, and for this, I'll say that I want this to manage my tasks because the actual board is the project itself. I'll hit next, and it'll ask me for my view. Now, by default, the view is table, but the other options available to us are Kanban, cards, calendar, timeline, and Gantt. Now, once we hit next here, I don't actually want to have it as Gantt, so I'm just going to hit table, but we can add more views later on. Hitting next here, it'll ask me to list my tasks. So of course, task 1, task 2, task 3 would be fun, but I don't want to do that. So we'll say script video, edit video, and then post video. From here, we'll hit next, and it'll ask me to group tasks to better organize my work. From now, I'm just gonna hit this month and next month. We'll hit get started, and we're ready to go. Once that happens, this actually takes you to the dashboard of Monday.com. From here, we're looking at a lot of stuff, and don't be overwhelmed if it looks overwhelming, because it is. So I'm gonna walk you through each thing slowly. On the left-hand side of the screen, not even looking at the task view yet, you can see a couple things of interest. For now, we're simply gonna look at home, my work, my awesome project. If you hit on the home button, this is where you can see a dashboard of everything that is relating to all of the things in your workspace. Now, of course, right now we're in the main workspace, which is where we're starting out. But if there were other people in your team, this is where you would see all the things such as the recently visited, my awesome project, the update feed and inbox, direct messages, my workspaces, and the different things that I can actually use and customize to make Monday.com my own. Down below that, on the left-hand side, I can hit my work, and this specifically shows everything related to me. And this is where you have complete customization of what you want. We can see things like different tasks that are due this week. We can go and hit this button that says new item. For example, project proposal, select what board we want, what group and board, with a date or without a date, etc. But in this case, we're not going to focus on those things, but I implore you to go through and make it your own and customize it and see what works for you. But the main project that we're going to be working on right now is My Awesome Project. And this is where the majority of the features that you're going to be working with on a day-to-day basis are located in the actual project. So in this case, what I'm looking at here is, well, My Awesome Project. So let's take it from the top down. If I hover over the name, you can see I can actually go and rename it. Below that, I can actually click in and see just the basic information, such as the description, what workspace it's in, when it was created, who are the owners, and what the board type is. And just below that, we can actually see main table. And this is where, like I mentioned before, you can actually go and create new views based on those ones we saw before. If I hit this plus button here, we can see all the different views that we could actually go and add. Gantt, chart, calendar, etc. In my case, if I want to add a Gantt here, we click on that and we add our Gantt chart, and it automatically is created for us. It's the same way of visualizing those same tasks, but slightly customized to however you want to view them. Now, if I want to get back to my main table here, I just click on the main table, and now we're back at the tasks. So from here on out, we're looking at a couple different things here. This month, next month, and add new group. Well, these are simply put the groups where the tasks are located. If I want to have a new group called, let's say, 3 months from now, or future, or next week, I simply hit this add new group button and I'm presented with a new group. But yeah, I don't really like the color brown there, and new group isn't very an inspired title, so I'm just going to rename this to something like next week. And I'm going to hit this box next to it and actually change the color on it. Let's make it something like a nice purple. Now, if I want to actually move next week above this month and before next month, if I want to move it around to do anything actually, all I have to do is hover over the name and slightly to the right until my cursor turns into a grabbing icon, and then simply left click and hold and drag, and automatically the view will change and allow me to drag this group wherever I want it to be. So in this case, I'm simply going to push it in between this month and next month, just so that it works a little bit better for me. But again, complete customization here. For this, I'm going to focus my attention now on the 3 tasks that we have here. And this is where I'm going to introduce the concept of columns to you. In our case, we have the 3 default columns: owner, status, and due date. Now, owner by default is me for the first task, which is script video. But this is where you can actually add owners to a task. Owners can do things like see all the notifications related to a task, things like when the due date is, if somebody's added a new file, if the due date is actually passed now, etc., etc., etc. Again, complete customization here. Now, if you actually want to go ahead and add your own status here, all you have to do is go down to the bottom of the status and hit Edit Labels. And from there, we can see New Label. Now, if I just click this new label here, I can say something like needs review. I often have a lot of things that need review, so needs review, and then just hit the apply here, or if you want to actually change the color, you can just click on that paint bucket next to it, and let's do a nice bright green. Click on that and we'll say apply, and for this we'll say script video, it needs review, so we'll click on that and boom, the status is set like so. To the right of that, we have due date. We can click on it and we can simply change the due date. Nothing special there. But if I actually want to go ahead and add other columns onto this, because really these columns are viewing different pieces of the project information, or in our case, task information at a glance, all I have to do is to the very right of all the columns I have, hit this button that says add column, and it looks like a plus icon. From there, we can see all of the essentials, super useful, and even more columns. Things like status, people, date, timeline, numbers, tags. Now, I can go in depth on all of these, but I really strongly encourage you to walk through this and figure out what works for the type of tasks and projects that you're going to actually be doing. In super useful, we have things like text, files, dependency. Let me do files real quick. And if I click on files here, now we can see that that column has been added on automatically. And if I go and hover over it, I can add files from computer, from webcam, doc, link, Google Drive, Dropbox, from Box, and from OneDrive and SharePoint. All these different options that are available to us. There's tons more, and if I hit more columns, I can actually see things like super useful, team power up, board power up. You can see why I'm not going to go in depth on each of these. But basically, columns are a way for you to view different pieces of information about your project at a quick and simple glance. But for this, I'm just going to exit out of this for the moment and just actually click into the task itself. So how do I do that? If I hover over the task here, you can see a little thing with 2 arrows, and I think it says open. And if I click on it, I can see things like the updates for that task, the files, the activity log, and things like, oh, I changed it from task 1 to script video, and I did that 7 minutes ago. Yep. And then we can see things like automations activity, filter log. Of course, all of this isn't going to be really useful to you before you have a lot of information added in there, but this is a place where you can actually go and add different information about your individual task, and even rename it if you want to, just again by hovering over the name and clicking once on it, and then changing it, and we'll say just 2, and then clicking out of it, for example. But what do I do if I want to actually move script video to next month? Well, simply put, we can do the same thing we did with groups, but just for tasks. We hover over the name of the task itself, wait till we get that pointer icon, and simply hold left click, and we can simply drag. So I'm going to put this in the next month tag, and for needs review, I'm just going to say stuck. We need to talk about it. It's getting pushed to next month. Now for done, obviously we don't want something that's been done to be in this month. We want it to be in its own type of completed category. So I'm going to add a new group down here, and look at that. It's already a different type of green. And I'm simply going to name it completed. Click out of it like we did. But wait a minute, what if edit video is done, but a subtask isn't? What if edit video has more than one task and we want to group them together? Well, from there, if you can see when I hover over the name edit video, there's a little arrow that appears next to it. And if we go down and click on it, we can see expand sub-items. If we click on that, we can see sub-items. And when you click on this, by default, it will automatically create one for you. So what if a different component of editing the video was things like prepare music? And then to add another sub-item, I just simply do Shift Enter. So we have prepare music, prepare sound effects, and yeah, we'll stick with that too for now. I'll hit enter on here. And as you can see, these sub-items are exactly like the main tasks with having all the columns and customization that we have with the main tasks. We have things like owners, me, status, stuck, working on it, done. So we'll say preparing music, working on it, preparing sound, working on it, due date. We can set individual due dates on here. And we can even do just clicking to the today button to get it going there. But we can also add a time here. So say it's due at a particular time today. Let's say, oh, it's due at 9 a.m. There we go. But if I want to change that, I can simply click on it. And you can see I can scroll through all the times here. And we'll say, yeah, this is due today at 6:30 p.m. A little bit overdue on that. So from here, I'm just going to put stuck. But I think you get the basic concept of going and creating those tasks here. But now let's talk about creating more projects. Well, if I want to create another project here, all I have to do is head over to the left-hand side of the screen here and see this blue plus that when I hover over it says add item to workspace. Now, this is where you can add many different things. And if I click on it, you'll see just a few of them. Things like a new board. Again, this is what a board looks like. We can see things like a new doc, a new dashboard. We can actually choose from a template. We can import data. We can check out different apps. We can create a new form, a new folder, etc. It's all there so that your projects are managed effectively by you. And the customization that is offered to you for all of these things provides you the ability to simply go through, invite new teammates, create new projects, create new tasks, etc. And from the home and my work, we can visualize those tasks in a variety of different ways. So as we can see, today we have script video 2, and this week we have prepare music. So for the most part, this is how to use Monday.com. It's a really simple and effective way for you to actually go through and create these different tasks and view them in different ways. Because if we go back to that Gantt chart view, we can see that it's now laid out in a Gantt chart view. Or if I wanted to add, let's say, a calendar, we click on that and it creates a calendar view. We can view those tasks in the calendar view. And this is a place where all of your teammates can collaborate in real time and you can work and understand and manage things effectively. Now, before we finish things off here, there's a couple more things that you should know about. In the top right-hand corner, there's a couple icons that are going to become very useful to you the more that you use Monday.com. Now, if we go up and look at them, we've got things like a notification bell. Now, this is very important because you can see all of your notifications, all unread, see where you were mentioned, see things that were assigned to you. And if we want to get a little bit more in depth on this, we can actually go to the right of that and click the inbox button. Here we can see all of our updates, things like at where I was mentioned, bookmarked, and even all account updates. Now, of course, as you have more collaborators using Monday.com with you, this will start to fill out a bit more, so you can see how this can become very useful and allow you to, especially if you're managing a large number of projects with a large number of tasks, simply put, organize it effectively and manage your projects effectively. So going back out here, we can simply, obviously not send feedback, but we can go and click this button that says invite members. And this is how we can actually invite more members to our team. Now, when you're inviting people to your work management, you actually have two options here. You can invite them as a member or invite them to be a viewer. Viewers don't have the ability to create tasks or change things. They can simply view things, which makes it easy to share outside projects or lists or tasks or really anything that you want to share. Again, complete customization here with the people and stakeholders that you want to share it with. Makes it completely easy and streamlined for your project management. Now, finally, ending things off here, we have things like apps. Now, I wasn't going to dive too deep in apps here, but Monday.com has so many different applications that connect directly with its platform. Things like what's recommended for us, PageProof, online proofing, Copilot, GPT-4 for Monday.com, TeamView, and we can browse by category, and there are just so many. Now, look at all these. Approval and feedback, Supermetrics. I don't even know what most of these things do. And you can see that they're all categorized based on what you could potentially be using it for. Team management, software development, that might be useful for me, and more. I hope you enjoyed this Monday.com tutorial and allowing you to effectively manage your projects in one setting. Monday.com is a great project management tool for making new tasks, projects, and collaborating with your team members in real time. And by linking up to the external app store and having all of your information quickly available to you on your dashboard, My Work, and Inbox, you can simply effectively manage all of your projects and view all of your tasks and all of your team in one easy to view setting. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. My name is Josh. I will see you later.